Hi there. For the lens of diversity, socioeconomic status, I will be talking about the book Saturday at the Food Pantry by Diane O'Neill. I chose this story for a few reasons. I feel like it really resonated with me. I grew up in a very poor family who had to visit the food pantry very often. I'm very familiar about how the process works and typical things that get donated to a food pantry. And I'm also very familiar with some of the themes that are expressed in this book, like the feelings that some of the people have with being seen, asking for help or getting help from a place like a food pantry because of the negative stigma that surrounds it. So the book starts off with a little girl named Molly and her mother, and it shows that it is just the two of them and they don't have a lot of food. It says, "Dinner," Mom called. "Chili again?" Molly asked. They'd had it every day this week, last week too. That part alone I really resonated with because we had the same issue as a child, with not having a lot of food and having the same meals over and over again. For us, it was usually top ramen or hamburger helper, things that you would typically get from a donation place. So on another page, it shows that they have an empty fridge, and Molly's mom talks about how they're going to be able to get food tomorrow. Molly thinks that they're going to be going grocery shopping. She's excited about having new foods like chicken and spaghetti and ice cream. And her mom says, "Well, sort of. We're going to a food pantry." "What's a food pantry?" Molly asked. "It's a place for people who need food." So that's kind of foreign to Molly so far. She's never been to a food pantry as far as she knows. It's a new experience for her. So the next day it shows her and her mom waiting in line at the food pantry and a lot of other people waiting in line for it to open. And this is another part that was interesting to me. Molly sees one of her friends from school. She said, "Look, Mom, there's Caitlin. She's in my class." "Hey, Caitlin." Caitlin looked away. Oh, I remember that feeling. Molly ran over to her. "Didn't you hear me?" Caitlin looked down. "I don't want anybody to know that Gran and I need help," she whispered. "Oh." Molly walked, Molly walked back to her mom. Ugh. A lot of, I don't know if that's common as much around children, but it definitely is common around adults not wanting to talk about needing to go to places like the food pantry because there's a lot of negative stigma that about people who need help from resources like that they're lazy, that they're not working, or that they're not smart with money. A lot of things that are just not true. So throughout the book, it's just showing them waiting in line still for the food pantry. Molly's drawing pictures for everybody. Eventually, her little friend goes to play with her. She's so cute. And again, I really like all the pictures in this book because it really does like remind me of, like, at least for me, I don't know if anyone has ever been to a food pantry who watches this, but for me, um it shows a lot of how the process of a food pantry really works. So Molly sees her mom signing in to go in there, and they tell her to go ahead and take her basket and go. And on all the shelves, you see stuff that would typically be in a food pantry, a lot of canned goods, pasta, bulk items like beans and rice and sugar. And it says, "Take one of each item." And on this page, Molly sees a box of sugar cookies. So I don't know if you can see. She sees a box of sugar cookies and she really wants to get them. And her mom tells her no. She whispered, the people in charge, they'll want us to take sensible stuff." Mom's face turned pink. Again, I feel that part so much because even now, and there's a lot of, you know, negative talk about people who, not only stuff from the food pantry, but people who are on government assistance like food stamps. A lot of people will tell them, "Well, you don't deserve to get fancy foods like cakes or cookies or steak, stuff like that, stuff that they consider to be luxury foods. They don't think that poor people deserve to have stuff like that. And sometimes people who are at a place like a food pantry, or even people who are using some form of food assistance, are very insecure about getting items like that, items that are deemed as a luxury item, because they don't want to be treated negatively by people for it. Molly really wanted those cookies, and she doesn't understand completely why she thinks it's wrong for them to get them if they're available. So there's another picture, just says take one only for the items. So they're going to put stuff in their cart. She's picking one of everything like it says to. The powdered milk, oh my gosh, I remember the powdered milk. There's the drawings that her and her little friend did. They put them up in the food pantry. And at the end, towards the end of the book, the clerk at the food pantry ends up giving the box of cookies to the mom. And he says, "Everybody deserves a treat," the man said. "Enjoy." And then they're leaving. And at the end of the book, they get to have dinner together that night with their items from the food pantry. So I just really enjoyed the book. I really liked the way it talked about reasons that people might need to go to the food pantry without making it seem like it was such a sad situation. I like that it had the happy ending of people breaking bread together with their items that they got. But I also like that it kind of talked about some of the negative associations that people have with food pantries or have with some type of food assistance, and the negative associations and the biases that society has against people who do need assistance for things like that. So, really good book. I definitely recommend it. I definitely will be reading it to my kids. It's really sweet. Thank you.